Welcome to InfiniTen, 10 Facts, Infinite Knowledge. Today, we're leaving Earth behind and heading into the endless silence of space. For most of us, the idea of floating above our planet is a dream, peaceful, beautiful, limitless. But for those who've actually been there, it's not always so calm. Astronauts have seen things that defy explanation: strange lights, mysterious shapes, and moments of pure terror. So fasten your harness, because these are 10 terrifying things astronauts have seen in space. During NASA's Gemini 4 mission, astronaut Jim McDivitt looked out the window and saw something he couldn't explain: a bright, metallic object with long arms extending from its body. He described it as a white cylinder with a big extension, floating just outside the spacecraft. He managed to snap a photo before it drifted away, but the image was too blurry to identify. NASA suggested it was space debris or sunlight reflecting off the capsule, but McDivitt was never convinced. He later admitted, "It wasn't from this world, at least not from mine." Chinese astronaut Yang Li Wei was orbiting Earth alone when he heard something impossible: a knock on the outside of his spacecraft. He described it like someone hitting a metal bucket with a hammer, echoing through the cabin. He looked out, but there was no one there. No objects nearby. No debris. When he returned to Earth, engineers inspected the craft and found nothing unusual. To this day, he says he never figured out what or who knocked on his ship. While orbiting the far side of the moon, completely out of contact with Earth, the Apollo 10 crew heard something chilling in their headsets. A strange whistling sound they described as outer space music. For an entire hour, it filled their comms with eerie harmonies. NASA later released the recordings decades later, and the sound is as haunting as it is inexplicable. Some scientists claim it was just radio interference between lunar modules. But others note, interference shouldn't exist on the far side of the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first humans on the moon, weren't alone. At least, that's what Aldrin later suggested. During the trip, they reported seeing a glowing object following their spacecraft. It wasn't part of the rocket, and it didn't behave like debris. When they radioed mission control, NASA told them to switch to a secure channel. The transmission cut, and the public never heard what came next. Years later, Aldrin confirmed, something was out there, close enough to be real. Over several missions, including STS-48 and STS-80, astronauts have reported seeing what they call space snakes, long, flexible, glowing shapes floating in orbit. They twist and move as if alive. NASA insists they're just ice particles reflecting sunlight, but some astronauts aren't convinced. Veteran pilot Franklin Story Musgrave said, "I saw one that looked alive, and it wasn't ice. I'll leave it at that." While working aboard the Mir space station, Russian cosmonauts saw what looked like a human figure drift past the window, even though no one was outside. Moments later, a bright orange light filled the cabin, and all systems briefly went offline. When power returned, the cameras showed nothing. One crew member described it as a presence watching from the void. Official reports never mentioned the event. During the Mercury Atlas 6 mission, astronaut John Glenn reported being surrounded by glowing particles, hundreds of them, shimmering like fireflies. They floated and danced around his capsule, changing direction at will. NASA first thought it was ice, but Glenn disagreed. He said they seemed to react to him as if alive. Later missions also encountered similar phenomena, but none could explain it fully. In 2014, astronauts aboard the ISS reported picking up a repeating signal, a steady pattern of beeps and static. It didn't match any Earth frequency. When ground control tried to trace it, it vanished completely. Amateur radio operators later detected the same signal coming from deep orbit, far beyond any known satellite range. Some believe it was interference. Others believe something, or someone, was trying to communicate. During a routine spacewalk, astronaut Heide Marie Stefanishin Piper noticed a shape floating slowly past the shuttle. It wasn't debris, it was structured, with defined edges and reflective surfaces. The crew scrambled to identify it, but the object drifted away into the darkness. NASA officially called it a piece of insulation, but in the raw footage, it looks deliberate, built. While orbiting the moon, astronaut Al Worden reported feeling a presence in the command module, as if someone else was there. He later described seeing a dark shape in the reflection of his instrument panel, standing behind him. When he turned around, nothing. He never mentioned it again publicly, but in later interviews he said softly, "Space is not empty. It's alive in ways we don't understand." For every discovery we make, space gives us another mystery. Even with all our science, there are things out there that refuse to be explained. Maybe it's natural phenomena. Maybe it's something more. Thanks for watching InfiniTen, where we explore the facts that challenge what we think we know. Like, subscribe, and keep your eyes on the sky. 10 facts. Infinite knowledge.